Hi, I'm Liz with Liz's Crafts, and today I'm going to show you how I made this pill bottle bell hanger. So I have just 3 different pill bottles. It doesn't matter what size or color or whatever they are. And I'm going to tell you all the things that I did wrong that you should not do. So what I did was I had my husband use the jigsaw to cut off the tops. However, you should just leave the lids on and cut off the bottoms. It would make your life so much easier. So don't do what I did, but do as I say. Put the lids on and cut the bottoms off. And then you can continue on with what I'm doing right now. So I'm just scraping down the edges. My husband did use the sander on them a little bit, but there's still like some rough edges. So I'm just getting those off with my X-Acto knife. And not all the paper came off the pill bottles, but that's okay. It really doesn't matter. And I'll show you that later on. Now, the white pill bottles are thicker than the yellowish, orangish ones. And I think they are a little bit better for making these bells, but you can do them with either. It doesn't really matter. And then I'm just going to take my sander there and I'm just going to go over the edges. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do the other 2. Well, after I do a little bit more. Obviously, it wasn't pretty good. I had to do a little more. Now, when I get through with the sanding, I do take the bottles and rinse them out. And as you'll see, the paper on the outside there peels off a little bit. So I just use my fingers there and just get off what wants to come off. You don't have to get it all off because we're going to use that as texture on the bells. None of the orange one came off. The white ones had more paper on them. So again, I'm just trying to scrub off what will come off because I don't want, lumps, clumps of paper on there. Now I'm going to use my 3-in-1 glue to put the lids on. But like I say, if you don't cut off the tops of your pill bottles and keep the lids on, then you don't have to do this. All you have to do is cut the bottoms. And it would have made more sense for me to do that. But you know what? I didn't even think about it until I'm doing going through and editing my video. And I'm like, you know what? It would have looked the same. I should have just left the lids on the tops and cut the bottoms off. Work smarter, Liz, and not harder. But you know, sometimes you just got to do stuff the hard way. And that's what I did, like a lot throughout this video. Shame on me. And if you do end up going this route, just go ahead and use hot glue. Don't use the 3-in-1. I mean, it did work until I started doing something else that I shouldn't have done. And I'll let you know about that in a little bit. This pill bottle bell ornament, well, it's not an ornament, hanging decor, let me tell you, had its challenges. And I'm going to tell you how to do it right instead of the way I did it. And now I just have these beads, and they're wood beads, and I'm just going to glue those to the tops. Again, I'm using the 3-in-1, and it would have worked if I hadn't done this other step, but you can use hot glue. So actually, these set for, I want to say like 3 days, 2 or 3 days before I got back to this project. And it did hold. So when I came back to my project, I used this metallic gold paint from Rust-Oleum. It's the 2 times thingy there, and it adheres to plastic. Well, it didn't adhere to the inside of the plastic, but it did the outside. So I just spray painted it pretty good, and then I'm going to use this other metallic paint. It is not gold. It's like a brownish kind of paint. I got it at Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to take a pouncer sponge brush and go over the whole thing. Now, I started out going on the top, the lid, and the bead, but that's not the best way to do it. And I'll show you that in a minute. Again, a lot of trial and error in this project. And I wanted to leave the stuff in here just so you could see, you know, what we go through. We're not perfect. We don't do it perfect the first time. We just do a lot of editing in our videos. But I left this in there so you can see and not do what I did. So I did the top of that one first, but I was like, you know what? That probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. So I'm doing the bottom portion of it, of the next one. And I'm just pouncing up and down, and it gives it a little bit of texture, and it, you know, kind of blends in where the paper was on the bottle. So you don't have to worry about that. And I do put it on the top part on the lid around the edges. And you'll see that in a minute, in a second. There we go. So this is the best way to paint it. Go around the bottom portion first, and then do your lid. And then do your bead. That's the way you should paint it, okay? Don't do like I did the first one. So now I'm going to finish with that first one there. I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom part. Okay, so here it is all dry. That's the orangey bottle, and these are the two white ones. And I did try to spray paint the inside of these, but it didn't take, so I just left it like it was. I mean, it got a little gold in there, but not much. And then I thought, oh, okay, so I'm going to use my drill, and I'm going to drill down in the bead into the bottom of the pill bottle, and that's how I'm going to put my hanger and my jingle bell in there. No, don't do this. Just skip this part altogether. Just skip it. You don't need to do it. No, no, no. Do as I say, not as I do. Do not do this. So I had a smaller drill bit to start out with. See, my bead popped off. Yep. So I went ahead and drilled down in there. And look, the lid popped off. Yeah, it just, one disaster after another. Yep. I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to paint this all over again. I don't want to spray paint it again. What am I going to do? I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get a bigger drill bit, because this drill bit, I mean, and it's too small to put my cord through there to do the bell, the jingle bell and all that. But really, just skip this altogether, because you don't need to drill any holes. Just don't do it. You don't need a drill. You don't need a drill bit. You don't need to put a hole in it. No, you don't need to do none of that. But here I am, I'm going to do the next one. This is before I realized, I should just give it up. Just give it up. Don't do it. But, yeah, I'm still going. See, that bead popped off. I was like, well, I'll just keep going. Make this hole bigger. Just do it. It wasn't going all the way through. And look, the lid popped off. That's why I say just keep the tops of your pill bottles on and screw your lids on and use that for the top, and then just cut off your bottoms. And don't use the drill at all. You don't need to. So this pill bottle, when it's sitting there, right there, I didn't drill it. I learned my lesson. I'm like, I don't need to do that. We're going to do this one the right way. So I have some jute. I got this from Hobby Lobby after Christmas one year. And probably 90% off. And I'm just going to make me a hanger. And get a big enough piece, and I'm going to put a knot in the bottom of it, of where the two ends are. And then I'm going to put that in the top of my bead. So I use the 3-in-1 glue, but you know what? Don't do that. Just use your hot glue. And you'll see that a little bit later. How I should have just used the hot glue, but I didn't. I didn't do it. So many mistakes. I'm surprised I actually got through this craft. I'm not a quitter. I'm not. Well, sometimes I am, but I didn't quit on this one. So I have a jingle bell, and I'm putting it on the jute string there, and I'm going to cut a piece off, and I'm going to put a knot down at the bottom closer to the bell. I just do a single knot just to keep the bell down there. And then I trim up, cut off my jute, and then I tie a knot with the two ends. Trim off the edge. And then I'm like, you know what? It's a little too long. I want it up inside my bell, not hanging down. So I decided it's too, well, okay. Yeah. I decided it's too long. And I'm going to tie another knot on the end to make the cord shorter. And then I'm going to put some 3-in-1 glue at the top there so I can attach my jute to my pill bottle. Yeah, don't do that. You'll see in a second. Just use hot glue. I'm trying to get it stuck down in there, and the bell was falling down, and I mean, it was just a freaking disaster. One after another. So this wasn't working. It wasn't working. But I keep trying, but it wasn't working. It wouldn't work. So there it is. The bell's out, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to lay this down there and forget about it for a little bit, and I'm going to go back to putting my other bottles together. So I need to give it some paint. So I'm using the gold paint first, and I'm just going to dry that a little bit. Do a little bit more because that was a little light there. And I'll dry it a little bit. Not sure why I left all this in there. Because y'all need to see how I dry the paint. And then I use the darker paint to go on top of the gold. So it'll match what I've already done. And make sure my top, any white that's showing, gets covered up. I'm just using the dark paint for that. Then I'll dry it. And now I decide to put my jingle bell in, and I'm using hot glue. And that's what you should do. You should use hot glue. And I'm just going to stick it up in there. I'm going to take my little scissors and make sure my knot is in the hot glue. And once I have it in there, I can just lay that aside and let it dry a little bit. And then continue working on the others. So here's the other one that kind of fell apart. So I'm going to work on it. Got me some more gold. Sorry, that's out of focus. Out of frame, I'm sorry. Just looking to see if I need to put any on the lid, and I do put a little bit on it. And then I take the darker color and put that on. And then once I dry everything, because you need to see that again, I'm going to use my 3-in-1 and go ahead and glue this down. Now you can go ahead and use your hot glue for this. The 3-in-1 does work. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the next one. So now I'm going to put my jute hangers on these. And then we'll tie a knot in the end. And then I'm using my 3-in-1. It's just squirt some in the bead there. And then I'm going to put some on the ends of the jute. Okay, and don't do this. Just go ahead and use your hot glue, and you'll see why later on. Just go ahead and use hot glue. So just make sure the ends of my jute are in the bead itself. Some of the knot can go in there too if you can get it in there. If you can't, that's okay. Do the same thing to the next one. I'm going to trim the ends up a little bit. Again, use my 3-in-1, which really don't do that. Just use your hot glue. Okay, so there are the top hangers on those. And then we want to add the jingle bells. So again, I'm just taking some jute and I am threading it through my bells. Now all 3 of my bells are gold. And you could get them at the Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, wherever. And again, I just do it like I did that first one. I tie a single knot closer to the jingle bell, and then I tie the ends of the jute in a knot. Sorry, I'm out of frame again. It's kind of hard to keep looking at your screen and seeing where you are in the frame and doing your craft at the same time. It is difficult. So I just put the hot glue on the end of the jute where the knot is, and then I attach it to the top of the pill bottle. And I just use my scissors to poke it down on there. So I'm going to set that one aside and do the next one. Get my last bell and my jute. Just thread my bell through the jute. Tie a single knot down at the bottom of the bell. Cut the jute and then tie the two ends together in a knot. And I trim the ends of the jute. Put some hot glue. I was going to put it in the pill bottle, and I'm like, no, no, no. Put it on the end of the jute cord there where the knot is. And then put that in the pill bottle. And then I can use my scissors there to attach it. Kept trying to get it in the right place there. And then, look, my scissors got stuck to it. So I'm like, well, I'm going to use something else. So I'm using this thing right here. And I'm pressing it up there. So that's how I got that bell in there. So now that all the bells are in there, we go on to the next step. Well, okay, so I see some white spaces on my bells, and I just go over it with my paint dauber. Because, you know, you don't want to see any white. Okay, so now it's time to decorate the bells. And I just have these, I guess it's like grapevine pieces. And I have no idea where I got them. If I had to guess, I'd say probably Hobby Lobby. I've had it for years. I've used it on other items, taken it off, and now I'm using it for this. So I put 2 leaves and a cluster of the grapes, I guess is what it is, on my bell top there. So I'm just going to attach it with some hot glue. So I put a leaf on either side, both sides. And I cut off the stems on the leaf so that it's just the leaf itself. Make it easier to put on the bell. So I have those on there, and then I'm going to put my cluster, and then look. See, that popped off, so I had to put some hot glue on it. So I'm just going to use hot glue to attach this on top. And then I'm going to add a little bit of, oh my gosh, I just forgot what it was called. It's moss, right? Oh my goodness. Anyway, this stuff that makes a mess. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on what the word is. Anyway, I'm putting a little bit of it on there. I thought that was all I was going to put on there, but you'll see in a few seconds that, and this bead was on there good, so I don't have to worry about that one. I think this was the one that didn't get drilled. So I'm just picking out the right leaves that I want to use for this. And then I see that little twirly thing there, spiral thing, and I'm like, you know what? I got to put this on there. So there's the last piece that I put on that bell. Just put a little hot glue on it and then put it on the back of the bead there. And it just kind of fits up around it in the bottom, on the bottom. And that's it for that bell. So I'm just going to do these other bells the same way. Spanish moss. There we go. It's called Spanish moss. So if I find any white spots that are on my lid, that's where I put my leaves. I put it there so I can cover it up. Put my cluster on. Just hold it for a little bit until the glue sets up. Put my spiral thingy on there. With some hot glue up around the back of the bead, just like I did the other one. It fits perfectly. And then a little Spanish moss. Just kind of compact it a little bit between my fingers there. Put down a little hot glue and then add my moss. And then this bell is ready to go. Okay, 2 down, 1 to go. Another town, another show. I think they're looking pretty good. They do jingle. Okay, so here's the last one. Get me a couple leaves, and I don't want very big leaves. And make sure I cut off the stems to the leaves so they fit around the bead really well. Again, seeing if there's any white spots I need to cover up. Now I got to find a good cluster to use. And I'm guessing these are supposed to be grapes because the leaves look like grape leaves, grapevine leaves. And then you got those little twirly things that, you know, hang down from grapevines. I like them. I think they're pretty. Now, you can just use these bells as ornaments on your tree. But I'm going to do something, well, as you saw in the beginning, I'm going to put them on a beaded decor piece. But you can use them individually as ornaments. Okay, so here's the beaded piece, and I got it from Hobby Lobby after Christmas on 90% off, so it was $7.99, so I paid 70 or 80 cents for it, and it has a snowflake on the bottom. I'm just going to take the tag off, and I just warm that up with my heat gun, and it comes right off. But you got to watch your fingers. You don't want to burn yourself. So the other side of the snowflake is white, and that's what I want to be my front. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to go down one bead from the very top. And I want to tie my knot in the back. So I'm just taking the piece of jute, the loop that's on the top of my bell, and I'm just going to tie a single knot between the two top beads. And I'm not doing a double knot, just a single knot. And look at that. So you see that? That's what I was talking about earlier. That came out, so just use your hot glue. If you use your hot glue from the beginning, it's not going to come out. So I just put some hot glue down in the bead and put my jute back in it. So much went wrong with this DIY, I'm not kidding. So if you attempt to do this one, I know you're going to do much better than I did. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip down 2 beads from where I tied the first bell on. And I'm going to tie it in the back. Again, just 1 knot. I'm not going to do 2. And you can leave your loop there, that's fine. That way, if you want to take it off of here and use them as ornaments, you can do that. So there's that one. Now we have one more bell to put on. And this time I'm going to go down, I was thinking 2 beads, but then I'm like, I don't think that's quite enough space. I think I need to do 3 beads. So I'm trying to decide right there. And then I decide, okay, 3 beads. So I'm moving down 3 beads and I'm going to tie this one on. Again, just a single knot. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So again, I use some hot glue inside the bead so I could put my jute back in it. Just use the hot glue to start out with. And there it is. It's all finished. I think it turned out pretty good. Lots of trial and error. And, you know, I mean, it was a challenge. I'm not going to lie. But let me know what you think. So here it is. Does it look like bells or does it look like pill bottles? Let me know in the comments. Again, I'm Liz with Liz's Crafts, and if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you would like to. I'm at 1,000 subscribers. Yay!